My name's Huntalec, and I'm something that's never been seen before on this platform. A game reviewer, and the first thing I'm going to be talking about is... I'm such an innovative son of a bitch, aren't I?
Luigi's Mansion. A game that clearly nobody talks about. The game started development during the N64 era, but was never meant to release on that console. Instead, the developers wanted to use Nintendo's upcoming console, going under the name Project Dolphin at the time, to develop their new title, as it had far greater potential to handle what the team had in mind for their new game. During the brainstorming phase of development, the team shot around a few ideas as to where the game could take place, like an apartment complex, a Japanese-inspired ninja house, and a desert. They eventually settled on a European, American-style mansion, as it just felt natural to them. Now, Mario was originally supposed to be the star of the game. However, the team felt that Mario wasn't a good fit for the haunted mansion setting that they were going for, since he was considered a brave hero by fans, so it would be out of his character to be scared by the game's setting. So the team ultimately decided to replace Mario with Luigi, since Luigi himself didn't really have any established character and was always just a sprite swap of Mario. I mean, sure, there was the Mario comic from Nintendo Power and the Mario Bros. Super Show, but that wasn't really an established personality within the mainline games.
Well, there was one other game where Luigi was a star, but... yeah, it wasn't good.
After being revealed at E3, Luigi's Mansion was released on November 18th, 2001, here in North America.
The things people managed to find about Luigi's Mansion's development history is very interesting, and there's even some modders out there trying to recreate early builds of the game. They even found a multiplayer mode recently. Incredibly unfinished, but hey, it's something.
But the only thing more interesting than Luigi's Mansion's development is Luigi's Mansion. So to keep with the tradition of other Nintendo consoles that preceded it, when the GameCube launched, it launched with a Mario game. And despite it not being a traditional Mario game gameplay-wise, Luigi's Mansion kept the story basically the same as every other mainline entry in the series. So Luigi won a mansion in a contest he didn't enter.
Lucky fuck.
Luigi then finds and enters the mansion. However, upon his arrival, Luigi encounters a ghost who regurgitates a key, then flies upstairs and goes through a door. Luigi then grabs that key and heads through the same door and gets jump scared by the ghost.
Seriously, Luigi, that ghost isn't even that scary. Oh, fuck a hobbit!
This old man is Professor E. Gadd, a scientist and inventor who studies ghosts. He asks Luigi why he's in the mansion, however the two don't get to chat long before they're ambushed by more ghosts and have to run out of the mansion. The two head for E. Gadd's lab, where E. Gadd reveals to Luigi that the mansion just appeared a few days ago, and that he was scammed. As if things couldn't get any worse for Luigi, E. Gadd then tells him that he saw Mario walk in there and never come back out.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion story is pretty identical to any traditional Mario game, just replace Mario with Luigi and Peach with Mario. But the thing that makes it so memorable and fun is its gameplay.
E. Gadd offers to help Luigi by teaching him how to catch ghosts using the Poltergust 3000 that he invented. The vacuum is your primary way of affecting the world, and as you explore, you can collect coins, dollar bills, and gems that get totaled up as you complete the 4 areas of the game. The entire idea behind Luigi's Mansion is capturing ghosts. You do this by using a flashlight to stun a ghost, and then by pressing the R trigger and holding it down, you can start reeling the ghost in, and by rocking the joystick back and forth in the opposite direction, you can drain the ghost's HP, and eventually... There are also several types of ghosts Luigi encounters, such as the Gold Ghost, the first one you'll meet. They try to punch Luigi, but have a short range and are easily avoided. There's also the Speedy Spirit variant, which drops a load of cash when caught, but their name implies that they're extremely fast, so they're hard to catch in the first place. Then there's the Purple Punchers. They're similar to the Gold Ghost, with the main difference being their speed, and their punch lunges them at Luigi, making them a little more difficult to avoid. Blue Twirlers are the tanks. They slam the ground, creating huge shockwaves that take 10 HP away if they land. The Ghost Guy is a ghost version of the Shy Guy, and they can only be captured after you remove their masks. The Garbage Can Ghost is that guy in Mario Kart, and then there's also the Grabbing Ghost.
Fuck you.
These guys will latch onto Luigi and squeeze him. The only way to shake them off is by rocking the joystick back and forth. They wouldn't really be that annoying if it weren't for the fact that every time you encounter them, you're in a pretty enclosed space, so they're difficult to avoid. Finally, the last ghost type you encounter, and by far the most memorable, are the Portrait Ghosts. These guys were once the paintings that made up E. Gadd's gallery, but they were freed by King Boo before the start of the game. 4 of these guys serve as the boss fights. Their names are Chansey, Bogmire, King Boo, and... we'll get back to this one. The remaining 19 are more like puzzles. Some pose a serious threat once you disturb them, but for the most part, they're just kinda hanging out until you just... Now, using the flashlight in tandem with the Poltergust is usually enough to handle most of the threats you'll encounter throughout the game. However, Luigi is far more capable than just sucking and blowing. As you explore the mansion, Luigi will obtain the fire, water, and ice elemental metals respectively, and by holding down the L trigger along with sucking up the appropriate elemental ghost, Luigi can shoot out, you guessed it, fire, water, and ice. These metals allow Luigi to solve puzzles and progress further through the mansion, and using the water metal on plants can net you some extra cash. They also allow to catch elemental variations of the normal ghosts, though you can only have access to one at a time. Now, these are a really awesome addition to the game that adds a new layer of thought and challenge, but I do have some issues. In my opinion, sometimes it feels like you're being forced to use them. For example, some doors are on fire. You have to use the water element to put them out so you can get through the door.
Why?
Normally when a player comes across a door they can't enter, they'll go, "Oh, that door's locked. I'll leave and go find the key." This usually leads to them going to a room where they'll capture more ghosts, maybe find a mini-boss, and gain access to the room that they couldn't enter before. It's rewarding and fun. Here, it's just annoying because what if you don't have the water element at that very moment? Then have fun walking through the mansion to find a room with the water element in it. This wouldn't really be an issue if the player had access to the elements at all times. They could say swap through them with the Z button and use a little elemental ghost as ammo. On the other hand, I do like how the metals are used on some portrait ghosts. A great example would be Shivers. See, in the halls on the first floor, you'll notice these little floating candles, and there's nothing much you can really do to affect them. They're just kind of there. But after you get the fire metal and realize you can light candles with it, you'll probably try it out on those floating candles, and then Shivers appears and you can catch him. However, with the way they're handled, the elemental metals are cool, but a little frustrating. Oh yeah, Boolossus! So, up until this point, the bosses of this game were pretty well balanced and gave a fair and reasonable challenge for the first time player. Chansey was a nice first boss, being both fun and unexpected. Bogmire naturally ups the ante from Chansey, being a greater challenge compared to him, but not impossible. Boolossus, on the other hand... To be fair, an experienced player can beat Boolossus in a couple of seconds, but for the first time player, he is just so damn frustrating to deal with. Boolossus is made up of 15 other boos, and when they come together, he'll bounce around the arena. To get him to separate, you have to lure him into the horns of these alicorn statues by either leading him into the horns or using the poltergust to guide him into them. This way he'll pop. After you pop him, you think, oh, that's it, that's all I gotta do, then I can just suck up the boos, right?
What, did you think this was a fucking charity?
No. You'll have to use the ice metal first to freeze them, and then you can suck them up. I'm not saying Boolossus is a bad boss, I just think that he's incredibly frustrating to deal with your first time through and is easily the most difficult boss in the game. Though I do like the music that plays during the fight, and I believe that this is the best time anyone will have catching boos in the game. Speaking of boo catching...
Alright, so the best way I can describe this next particular part of the game is, you know that feeling of frustration that comes over you when you go to a grocery store and then you see the last cart that they have and you start using it, and while you're using said cart, you realize that one of the wheels is wiggling just a little bit, so then the entire time you're using the cart, it veers off to the left just slightly? Yeah, I take that frustration and multiply it by 50 times.
Yep, I'm talking about the boo catching. Early on in the game, you'll enter a room called the storage room. At first, this room seems to not have much to it. You walk in, catch ghosts, maybe find a speedy spirit and earn some extra cash, but then... 50 boos are released into the mansion, and you're tasked with finding them all. How, you might ask? Well, lucky for you, you get equipped Luigi's Game Boy Horror with a little thing called the Boo Radar. The Game Boy Horror. The very thing I purposely neglected to talk about like a ginger stepchild up until now. Basically, you're playing hot and cold to find the boos. The Boo Radar tells you how close you are to the boos, and when you're really close, it sounds like the heart rate of a shut-in otaku when they're 10 feet away from an attractive woman. Now, finding the boos is the part I love. But when you finally find the boo, that's where everything kind of goes downhill. See, you're taught that the most efficient way to handle an encounter with most ghosts in the game is to first stun them, and then suck them, with the challenge being you trying to reel them in. The boos do try to add variety by having you not stun or suck them, but rather have you just kind of hover over them with a poltergust going until their health drops to 0. I mean, I gotta hand it to them, that variety is still variety. There are multiple problems with the boo catching in this game. For one, catching them isn't fun. There's no real satisfaction you'll get after catching them, you'll just kinda catch it and then... yeah, that's it. Second, these fuckers like to move around a lot, and they can go through walls, which means that you have to follow them into the room or hall, and sometimes they go into a room that's not only accessible in a different part of the mansion. The problem here is that Luigi's Mansion doesn't have a reliable means of fast travel, which means if the Boo goes into a room that you can't get to from where you are, you'll have to walk all the way there, and then when you get there, you'll realize that the Boo hit itself again, and then you'll have to find it all over. Other times, the Boo goes into a room that you can't access yet because you don't have the key, and so that means you have to go find that key and then go into the room so you can catch that Boo, which means that there's a chance that the new Boo that you'll find in that room will do the same shit. This is just bad padding. It's not fun, it's really annoying, and it's a waste of anybody's time. You can fast travel in this game, however it only takes you to the foyer, which is the start of the mansion. See, in some rooms there are mirrors, and by scanning them using the Game Boy Horror, you can warp back to the foyer. This can be handy if you're, say, up on the 3rd floor and want to get back to the first quickly, but if you want to go to the attic and you're on the 1st floor, then have fun walking all the way up there. It's as boring as it sounds. Now, after beating the game, you unlock the Hidden Mansion, the game's hard mode. This mode mirrors the mansion, the boss battles are made much harder, the rooms are much darker, 45 of the Boos are required to fight the final boss, along with the Boos themselves being much faster and more agile.
Great.
All ghosts cause more damage, and there's only 2 hearts to replenish health in the entire mansion. This is a great mode, and it definitely adds a lot of replay value to the game. Too bad these changes were only in the PAL version only. The only changes the NTSC version got were some stronger ghosts showing up earlier, and they put up more of a fight when trying to escape. There's also more money here, so it's technically easier to get an A rank in this run of the game. Ironic.
That really is all the problems I have with the game. I love everything else about it, like the music, especially the main theme. It's fantastic. It kind of sounds like the song that a Saturday morning cartoon show would use for a Halloween special, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's still really fun and memorable. And Luigi actually hums and whistles the song while you're playing the game. And it's not just there for show, he's actually completing the song. You can really tell when he's in a dark room or a dark hallway. Like, just take a listen. He's like the Triangle Boy in an orchestra.
On a serious note though, I do love this game. It was the first GameCube title I ever played, and it introduced me to Luigi. I only really had Mario 64 under my belt at the time, so until I first played this, I only really heard about him. Now, there are a lot of people who say that this game plays like a survival horror game.
What kind of survival horror games are you guys playing?
The reason people compare Luigi's Mansion to some survival horror games like Silent Hill or Resident Evil is because of its overall structure. Like how the map details the rooms you can enter, which rooms you haven't entered yet, the fact that you can use keys to progress. In my opinion, no. To me, a big factor in survival horror games is item management. Knowing which items you need to have so you can progress, or which items you need to expel for your survival, is a big part of those games. Luigi's Mansion doesn't have that. The game is also incredibly linear compared to Silent Hill and Resident Evil. These titles have gameplay more similar to Metroidvania. They're far more open-ended. They let the player choose how they want to progress. But there's still a hint of linearity. Sure, they don't start open-ended, but they open up as the game progresses.
Luigi's Mansion, in my personal opinion, can't really be compared to anything. It has its own style, which to me makes the game a lot more special. Sure, people reacted really negatively at first when the game came out because it wasn't a traditional Mario game at launch. But over time, people started to appreciate what the game had to offer, like that Pikmin mini-movie. This cult status that the game garnered eventually led to the creation of 2 more sequels and even a remake. Also, I'm not gonna lie, the most satisfying thing you can do in this game is suck up tablecloths and towels. Just make sure you don't actually try doing that.